day.
You say the day.
Yeah.
That's why we give you all the glory.
Let's go.
Welcome back to Sacred and Satisfied. I'm Dr. Belinda Newkirk. And if you've been joining me for the last couple of episodes, we've been talking about gender roles in sex, the male versus female beliefs. And last episode, this is part 3 we're going to be talking about, but last episode was part 2. We're still under that umbrella. We looked at the damage these roles created. Now, this week, we're going to be focusing on when control replaces God's design. When control replaces God's design. Let's jump right into it. When sex is taught through control instead of covenant, confusion follows. Okay? When sex is taught through control instead of covenant, confusion follows. Meaning, when sex is taught as a matter of rules and control rather than covenant, a sacred, loving promise, it creates a mindset of winners and losers instead of partners. It creates a mindset of winners and losers instead of partners. Now, control versus covenant. Now, let's look at the teaching. Teaching control focuses on who has the power and what are the limits. But teaching covenant focuses on how do we love and honor each other. That's what covenant means. How do we love and honor each other? So then there's the conflict that arises between the two. Because when you focus only on control, sex feels like a negotiation or a transaction, something you get or something you give up, rather than a way to be close, right? So there's a conflict between the two. So let's break down what this internal conflict looks like. Let's break down what that internal conflict looks like when control replaces God's design. Okay, this is what it looks like. One, you will have feelings, men or women have feelings. Why does this feel unequal? This is an internal conflict. Why does it feel unequal? Men, for example, will say they may feel they always have to pursue or convince a woman to have sex with them, making them feel like they're a predator or a pest rather than a partner or a loving husband. Why do I always got to be the one to initiate? Why I always got to be the one to ask? Why I got to be the one? You don't ever initiate or want nor feel like you desire me. You know, the internal conflict. Now, the woman's internal conflict may be, they feel like their only power is saying no, making them feel like a gatekeeper or a prize to be won rather than a person with their own desires. They got to guard this. I say no, like you're using your body as a tool or weapon against me. I'm going to say no, I'm going to keep this from him. This is where I'm going to control him. The internal conflict, making you feel like you got a gatekeeper, you got to be a prize, you got to win me over. Even though to a certain extent, they do need to show that, the respect for you, not just you be giving it up, but you're making the internal conflict as a power struggle within yourself as a prize to be won rather than a person with their own desires. 2, another internal conflict is, why is pleasure shameful? Now, for men, you were taught that desire is like a beast to be tamed. Enjoying sex feels like giving in to a bad part of yourself. Like, oh shoot, I'm not married. I shouldn't be giving in, and you should not. You got to control it. You're supposed to learn, like I said, the fruit of the spirit. Is discipline, self-discipline. But if you were taught that that's a beast to be tamed, enjoying sex feels like giving in to a bad part of yourself to a certain degree. Now, for women, if you were taught that the pure woman don't have urges, then enjoying sex feels like they've lost their goodness or are acting like a man. Because purity culture says that you shouldn't have that urge. You shouldn't be thinking about sex, especially if you're not married. So if they have the urges or they enjoying sex or they want it, then they're like, okay, you acting and thinking like a man. So you've lost that goodness of or that pleasure of wanting it or desiring it because you were taught that you shouldn't have that urge. A third internal conflict is, why does this feel unsafe? Why does sex feel unsafe? It feels, men feels like it feels unsafe to be vulnerable. They may feel it's unsafe to be vulnerable. If sex is about power, Showing weakness or asking for what you need feels like losing your man card. I should be able to just take control and do what I want. I shouldn't have to ask. I just gonna tell. I'm not gonna ask you. Do you want to do this? I'm just gonna take control and do what I want. And you just need to follow suit because I'm the man. So showing weakness or asking or taking into consideration what the woman wants, feels, or desires, it's like losing your man card. I'm the man. Now for women, it can be. Why does this feel unsafe? Internal conflict because it feels it feels unsafe to be honest. If she says what she likes, what she wants or desires, she might be judged. If she says no, she might be feeling like she's failing her duty. So she has an internal conflict of if I talk too much or say what I want, what I desire, and what I'm feeling, or what I want, what I want to go on, then you're gonna judge me, you know. But if I say no, then I feel like I'm failing my as a wife or failing my obligation or my duty to my husband because I'm saying no. Yes. So these internal conflicts, are the control versus the covenant mindset when control replaces God's design. And it creates internal conflict. And this is what it looks like. One, it looks like, why does this feel unequal? Two, why is pleasure shameful? Three, why does this feel unsafe? The desire for sexual experience that men and women have the desire for sexual experience that is positive, mutual, and respectful. And this can clash with early teachings rooted in power, not partnership. It can clash with early teachings and things that they learned early on, from early experiences or early beliefs or things that they saw that is rooted, in power, not partnership. Now, this is where the guilt comes in. Now, most people naturally want a relationship that's mutual. They both want to be there and respectful, both feel heard. However, if your early mapping taught you that sex is about power, one person leading, other person following, one person needing, the other providing, your brain gets stuck. You want a partnership, but you only know the power moves. You want a partnership, but you only know the power moves. So the results are simple. That internal conflict creates guilt, then. That's the results. The internal conflict creates guilt. You feel guilty for wanting pleasure, guilty for saying no, or guilty for not being the perfect version of the role you were taught or thought you supposed to be. That's what you do. But if we look at the Song of Solomon in the Bible, it paints a very different picture and perspective. It paints a picture of mutual desire, shared delight, and reciprocal longing. Read your Bible, it's in there. The Song of Solomon reads like a passionate love letter. It's unique because it doesn't focus on rules or roles. It focuses on two people who are completely crazy about each other. That's what it focuses on. I ain't making this up. Read it. Read it for yourself. In other words, mutual, shared, reciprocal means it's a two-way street. It's not one person taking and the other person giving. It's both people bringing their best to the table. That's what it means. So let's look at what God's design has always included. Okay? Just like the book of Song of Solomon, it, like I said, it paints a very different picture. If you're going to read it for yourself, you can see the mutual shared reciprocal embodiment that it has for two passionate individuals who are crazy about each other. That's what the whole book is about. But let's look at what God's design has always included. One, it has always included mutual consent. It's not just a yes, it's an I want to be here with you. And that's for male and female. Both of them got to want to be there for each other, want to partake, want to enjoy each other. It's the opposite of pressure or duty. You don't want to be there out of pressure. You don't want to feel obligated. You want to be there out of duty or like you're doing a chore. You got to check something off a list to do. For men, it means he doesn't have to convince or guilt trip his wife to have sex with him. He wants for her heart, he wants for her heart to be ready because he values her choice. He wants her to desire him as much as he desires her. He wants her to initiate and want him as much as he want to give it to her. The same for men, because there's some women out there that feel the same way. They want to have sex and they enjoy their husband. They want to pursue. They want to do and explain and talk and engage just as much. And she wants her voice to be heard about what she wants and desires. So it's mutual consent. Number two, you know, God's design has always included shared pleasure. It's a we experience, not a me. It's a we, not a me experience. Both people's enjoyment matters equally. Both. So, men, if he finds joy in his wife's satisfaction, he isn't just getting his. He is invested in her feelings, in her feelings too, and the way that she feel loved and pleased. If she's feeling loved and pleased, you shouldn't be in there. I'm just gonna get me, and it's all about me. Me. Never checking in, never checking on her, never seeing what she likes, never asking her questions. It's all about what I'm going to get in here and do. You better get yours while I'm getting mine, or you're not going to get it. And for women, she is allowed to enjoy herself. She isn't just enduring it for him. She is equally participating in the sexual activity and the delight. She's having fun. It's shared pleasure. She's able to voice her opinion. She's able to tell you what to do. She's able to say, I like it like this, I want it like that, or do this and do that without you questioning or judging her or making her feel ashamed or embarrassed because she is giving input, because she's speaking up without you feeling some type of way or your ego getting in the way or your pride taking over. Number three, God's design has always included emotional safety. Always. You can be completely naked, not just physically, but emotionally, without being judged, mocked, or rejected. God's design has always included emotional safety. He wants you to be completely naked, not just physically, but emotionally as well, without being judged, mocked, or rejected. For men, you can be vulnerable. He doesn't have to act like a tough guy or a conqueror. You can be the tender and honest about your feelings. If you want something done differently, you can be honest about it. You can emotionally check in. You can feel happy. You can feel overjoyed. You can talk and hype it up like, oh my God, and feel okay with it. Like I said, your pride and your ego don't have to take over. You don't got to flex every time like you did everything. And for women, she can be herself. She doesn't have to worry about looking perfect or performing a certain way, or is he gonna be all right with me doing this, or should I shift my body, or if I do this, or what is he gonna say? She knows she is safe in your arms no matter what. She's secure, she's supported, she's back, she's loved. Even if she does tell you, "Hey, I don't like that, don't do that," or "I want to be in this position instead of this position. I like what we do." If she's speaking up and expressing her feelings, her emotions, how she's thinking, what she's thinking, it's not a problem. The emotional safety is there because that's God. That's always been God's design. God's design has always also included number four, spiritual unity. Spiritual unity. Sex is the seal of the friendship. It's the physical version of the soul connection that you already have. That's what sex is. It's the seal of the friendship. It's the physical version of the soul connections you already have. For men, you can see sex as a sacred way to honor your wife with God and God, not just a physical release. It's not just to go in there, hey, I got mine, I got all. No, it's a sacred way to honor your wife and God. That's the way God created it. That's what He meant for it to be. And for women, she feels a deep sense of belonging and peace. knowing that this physical act is tied to a lifelong promise, a covenant, that she's secure, that she's good to go. She don't got to worry about feeling like you're going to go astray if she say no. She don't got to worry about, I don't know if I'm gonna do this right, if he like it or not, or he gonna find somebody else to do it. Because the men gotta have if the men have a mindset, or what you won't do, another woman will. She don't want to feel that burden in her heart and her mind if she don't execute a certain way, that you're gonna stray, or you're gonna be looking at her a certain way, or looking to someone else instead of being emotional secure and talking to her, having that emotional safety in talking to her. All right. So just quickly recap: God's design has always included one, mutual consent. Okay. It's not just a yes, it's I want to be here for both of you. It's also number two, shared pleasure. It's a we experience, not a me experience. All right. Both people enjoy things equally. Number three is emotional safety. You can be completely naked, not just physically, but emotionally. All right. Without being judged, mocked, or rejected in any way. That's both the man and the woman. And four is mutual unity. Sex is the seal of the friendship. It's the physical version of the soul connection that you already have. All right. And the big picture is this: in the Song of Solomon, the woman speaks just as much as the man. She describes her desire for him just as much as he describes his desire for her. This paints a different picture. This paints a different picture because it shows that God's original intent wasn't hierarchy. It's not a boss and employee thing, but it's like a dance where you're both in sync with each other. All right. Let's say our affirmation for today, which is the same. We're still under saying the same affirmation. I release false gender based beliefs about sex and embrace God's design for mutual respect, shared pleasure, healing, and holy intimacy, free from shame, control, or entitlement. All right? I release false gender based beliefs about sex and embrace God's design for mutual respect, shared pleasure, healing, and holy intimacy, free from shame, control, or entitlement. And your reflection question: no, looking back at your early years, did you learn that intimacy was more about power and duty, something you owe or are owed, or covenant and partnership, a shared gift? Okay. God's design for you isn't, rooted in control, but in covenant. It's a version of marriage where power struggles are replaced by mutuality and where duty is swallowed up by the delight of enjoying each other. Now, whether you've lived under a distorted message for a few years or a few decades, just please hear this message, okay? Healing is possible. Change is possible. It's up to you. Start the shift today. Choose partnership over power and oneness over hierarchy. All right? So join me as we continue to rediscover the beauty of God's original design. And we continue on this topic of gender roles in sex, the male versus female belief. I'll see you next time for part 4 of this in this segment. And this is Sacred and Satisfied. I'm Dr. Belinda Newkirk.
Yeah. That's why we give you all the glory.